Hey everyone, welcome back to Cosmerology, where we discuss everything about Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. As the Lord Survivor says, there's always another secret, and it's our job to uncover each of them. Before we jump into any specific topic, we need to lay down some foundational knowledge and understanding of the Cosmere, what it is, how it works, and some major players. While we won't cover everything here, this should give you the basics by the time we're done. So without further ado, let's jump into this. The Cosmere is the shared universe where many of Brandon Sanderson's books reside. Each series takes place in its own world and are mostly self-contained. That being said, there are small breadcrumbs that connect the worlds and stories together if you know what to look for. Think of it like the MCU. At the end of the Hulk movie, Tony Stark showing up may or may not be meaningful if you have no idea about Iron Man. Now, not knowing about him doesn't detract from the movie, while knowing who he is and what he's doing adds to the excitement. Each book in the Cosmere has these types of connections, and finding them as you read not only makes you feel like a genius for picking up on them, but they also add to your overall enjoyment. Now, not all of Brandon's books live in the Cosmere, so if you're ever confused about what is and isn't Cosmere canon, use the link below to see the full list of Cosmere works. Alright, with that out of the way, let's start talking about the actual Cosmere. Like our world, very little is known about how the Cosmere was created. We do know, however, three things. First, the entity known as Adonalsium was the original god that created the Cosmere. We don't know who or what Adonalsium exactly was, but we at least have a name. Second, Adonalsium used the Dawn Shards to create all things. Current understanding of the Dawn Shards is fuzzy at best, and the best way I found to describe them is as commands of intense power. And third, Yolan was the first planet populated by humans. And that's about it when it comes to this era. Now, after an unspecified amount of time, at least 16, possibly 17 and a dragon, decided that Adonalsium's time had come to an end. They somehow got access to the Dawn Shards and killed or destroyed Adonalsium. Doing this caused Adonalsium's power to split into 16 shards. Each shard is named after a specific characteristic or ideal that embodies the shard's purpose or motivation, things like honor or ruin. The group of 16 people took up these shards and became the new gods of the Cosmere. Also, FYI, anyone holding the power of a shard is known as a vessel. Keep that in mind as we'll come back to that later on. Currently, we only know the names of 14 of the 16 shards in the Cosmere: Devotion, Dominion, Preservation, Ruin, Ambition, Cultivation, Honor, Odium, Invention, Mercy, Valor, Whimsy, Endowment, and Autonomy. Perhaps fearing one another, these shards all agreed to go their separate ways and create worlds of their own in distinct corners of the Cosmere. However, either it was April 1st or some of the shards were crossing their fingers when they said this, because Preservation and Ruin paired up, as did Devotion and Dominion, and Cultivation and Honor. Each shard, or pair of shards, invested a portion of their powers into their worlds, creating the world's own unique magic system. This is why each book series in the Cosmere has a distinct magic system, even though they share a common universe, because each world's magic is based on a different shard or shards. Now, buckle up, because we're about to talk about perpendicularities. And before we do that, can you all appreciate how hard of a word that is to say out loud? So these magic wells are formed when a shard invests its power into a world. This well is a gateway between the three realms in the Cosmere: the physical realm, the cognitive realm, and the spiritual realm. The physical realm is the world that we see and touch on a daily basis. We're all familiar with this concept, so there's not really a need to spend much time on this. The cognitive realm, also known as Shadesmar, is the realm that sits between the physical realm and the spiritual realm, and is the realm of the mind. As you can imagine, it's a pretty strange environment. Because this realm is made up of the thoughts and ideals of the physical realm, planets are much closer together since there are no thoughts going on in the void of space. The benefit of this is that people who travel between worlds, known as world hoppers, can travel fairly quickly by using the cognitive realm. They'll enter the cognitive realm through the perpendicularity in the physical realm, travel through Shadesmar to a new planet, and then re-enter the physical realm through a different perpendicularity. The spiritual realm is where the essence of the soul resides. Everything in the Cosmere has a spiritual aspect, or like a soul, which represents the idealized form or concept upon which their existence is based. This spiritual DNA is also known as a spirit web. Healing using magic typically just restores the physical world to how the spirit web was before the wound. One other fun tidbit about the spiritual realm is that anytime seeing the future is involved, it always works by drawing upon the spiritual realm. Now that we have that foundational knowledge taken care of, it's finally time to start talking about some of the biggest movers and shakers in the Cosmere. Obviously, a huge spoiler alert moving forward, so if you're not caught up on Brandon's latest books, please turn away now. First, let's talk about Hoid. Hoid, despite being immortal and from Yolin, is not actually a shard. However, he was involved with the shattering of Adonalsium in some form or another. He's appeared in almost every book in the Cosmere, sometimes acting as a side character and sometimes taking a more direct approach like he does in the Stormlight Archive. While we're not too sure what his ultimate goals are, we do know that he opposes Odium and doesn't want to leave him unattended. He usually interacts directly with our main characters and offers some guidance or assistance. Hoid definitely deserves an entire video just for himself, as I'm just barely scratching the surface here, so stay tuned for that in the future. Now, let's talk about the Shards' ruin and preservation in Scadrial. Because preservation only wanted to keep things the way that they were, and ruin only wanted to destroy things, they couldn't really create a world by themselves. However, by working together, they found that they could create a world. So with that in mind, preservation offered to make a deal with ruin to get around this limitation. The two shards would create a world together, which is what preservation wanted, and ruin would eventually be able to destroy it, which is what ruin wanted. To ensure this, preservation invested more of his power into humans on this world, thus guaranteeing for ruin that he would one day be able to overcome preservation and destroy Scadrial since his power wasn't so diluted. That being said, preservation did exploit a loophole in the pact that they made and bound ruin's mind with preservation's remaining power with the hope of protecting his world from being destroyed. Unfortunately, because preservation had divested so much of his power, ruin eventually broke free from his prison and killed preservation's vessel. Preservation's power was passed around a few times before Vin, the main character in the Mistborn trilogy, took the power up, became the new vessel for preservation, and killed Ruin, sacrificing herself in the process. With both preservation's and Ruin's power up for grabs, and Scadrial on the brink of collapse, Sazed, our favorite terroristman, took up both shards, combining their powers and creating a new shard, Harmony, bringing the number of vessels to 15 in the Cosmere. Even though he holds the power of two shards, he is still new to being a vessel and is still learning about the complexities of the Cosmere and what the other shards are up to. And finally, let's chat about Odium. He's what I would consider the big bad of the Cosmere. He worries about the other shards being more powerful than him, so his genius solution was to embark on a massive shard killing spree. He located Devotion and Dominion, killed their vessels, and somehow destroyed the power of the shards. Double kill! Which is known as splintering. We're not sure how he did this, or if it's possible for other shards to do this, but Odium is somehow capable of permanently destroying other shards. Odium next went to the Threnodite system, where he fought Ambition and Mercy, and subsequently killed Ambition's vessel and splintered Ambition's shard. Triple kill! Odium then set his eyes on the Rosharan system, seeking to either kill Honor, Cultivation, or both. Unlike the other shards, Honor did prepare for this, and because of his nature as the Shard of Binding, this allowed him to tie Odium and his forces to one of the system's planets, Braze. Unfortunately for Honor, though, Odium was a much better fighter at this point and was able to splinter and kill Honor. Overkill. The largest splinter of Honor's power came to be known as the Stormfather in Roshar. Luckily, splintering Honor did not release Odium nor his forces from Braze. Trapped in the Rosharan system, he began preparing his forces to find a way to free himself from Honor's binding. After thousands of years of continual war, Odium and the Stormfather's champion, Dalinar Kholin, came to an agreement. Odium would pit his champion against Dalinar. If Odium's champion won, Dalinar would serve Odium and Odium would be free. If Dalinar won, Odium would no longer strengthen his forces and withdraw back to Braze. While all this was happening, Cultivation was playing 4D chess. Because Odium was so focused on defeating the forces of honor, he was blind to what Cultivation was doing. She positioned King Taravangian, one of Odium's allies, into a position where he was able to kill Odium's vessel and take the power for himself.
Betrayal.
We're not sure what Cultivation's end goals are or how this new Odium will be different from the old, but it doesn't bode well for our heroes in Roshar. And with that, you are now caught up with the history of the Cosmere. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have suggestions on which Cosmere topic I should cover next, please leave a comment below. While you're at it, go ahead and crash your car right into my subscribe button to keep up to date on all my video uploads.